Well, jeepers! You're listening to Smash or Pass.
Hi everyone, welcome to another video on the JayBee
Hello.
and Milly channel. We're as always joined by Rhianna.
Hi.
And Smash.
Hello.
And we are incredibly excited to be speaking with two people today who have worked on the Mystery Incorporated series that has just started on YouTube. We've seen episode 1 and absolutely love it. So we are joined by Dade Elza.
What's up, everybody?
So thank you both so much for joining us. I kind of want to say at this point to anybody watching this, if you've not seen the first episode, we want to discuss all elements of that today. So the link is in the description for that episode. If you've not seen it, definitely go and watch that first. It really is incredible. And then come back to this interview. So thank you again for joining us. We're really excited to be speaking about it with you today.
Absolutely. We're excited to talk.
That is brilliant. So I guess I can kick us off. We're kind of going to section this somewhat. So of course we're going to start with Dade Elza's questions, and then we're going to move over to Philip Nathaniel. So we are excited to get this done. And I guess my first question to that end would be this would be, of course, starting with Dade Elza. Prior to working on the Mystery Incorporated series and like getting the concept for it, did you watch much Scooby Doo growing up? If so, do you recall having a favorite movie or series?
Oh, absolutely. My mom was a huge Scooby Doo fan in her childhood, and so when I was growing up, excuse me, when I was growing up, she raised me on Scooby Doo. I think I've seen every episode of every version of the show, all of the films. I love it to death. I think if I had to choose one favorite, as hard as it would be, the one that sticks out in my mind that I went to the most would be Zombie Island. That I think that one really kind of changed the game for me as a fan, and it really intrigued me to see like them dive into the supernatural for the first time, and kind of, well, I guess not for the first time, because you got the 13 ghosts in the 80s, and that was very supernatural. But yeah, I think I just really loved the Zombie Island film as a kid, and it still holds up, and I love it.
Yeah, Zombie Island is an incredible film. It certainly was one of my favorites, but with that in mind, I was kind of, I don't want to say worried, but certainly like apprehensive when they released the Return to Zombie Island movie.
Yeah,
that made me a bit nervous. But like you say, you know, you watched Scooby growing up, you did love it, and we, you know, as we said, you do play Fred, but did you have a character that stood out to you the most when you were watching the series when you were younger?
Oh yeah. When I was a kid, my heroes were Batman and Fred Jones. It was I loved Fred. He was my childhood hero, and I've been trying to find some way to play him in some form of since I've started acting. And so to be here now and portraying such an iconic character that means so much to me it's surreal. It's a dream.
Mm-hmm. I have to say, probably my favorite Fred since Freddie Prinze Jr.
Thank you so much. That really means the world to me.
But going more into your kind of acting, so your IMDb states that you've been doing acting since a young age.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just kind of wondering, when did you kind of discover that and find out that you enjoyed doing that?
So I, as a child, I did a lot of like skits in like church choir and stuff, and so I did a lot of that stuff. And then I think I was in like second grade when I did my first like stage play, like a full like 2-act play, and it was awesome. I loved it, and I got really into it really fast. And then with high school came the choice between acting and football, and obviously, like I guess not obviously, but I had to go with football because, you know, like I had to impress the girls and everyone at school. And so I fell from it for a little while, and then I unfortunately suffered an injury my senior year in high school, which ruined my scholarships for sports. And so I got back into acting, and I haven't looked back. It's been a fantastic journey, and I'm having a blast. Leads me to people like this guy, Phil.
True.
I think we can all agree that we are glad that you found your way back into acting, because from what we saw in like the pilot of Mystery Incorporated, you are so good at as Fred Jones. So,
Thank you.
and I guess before pursuing acting full time, did you have any actors you watched growing up that inspired you?
Absolutely. And you know, it's a funny story. I'm kind of embarrassed to talk about it, but the first time I knew I wanted to be an actor, I was watching Batman Forever of all movies, and I saw Chris O'Donnell playing Robin, and I was like, hold on a minute. If I act, I can play a superhero. So I think that should be what I do, because then I can actually be a superhero. That sounds like a good idea. And that's kind of what got me into doing like the skits and stuff, and getting into it a little bit. But definitely growing up in, once I started my acting journey, some of the greats like Leonardo DiCaprio, fantastic to watch and learn from. Brad Pitt, a huge influence. Will Smith, I enjoyed his works as I was growing up. There's countless people that I look up to. Obviously, Freddie Prinze Jr. and the original live actions, and Matthew Lillard, like, were huge for me as a kid. And yeah, it's awesome to think about the possibility of teaming up with some of these people I've looked up to.
That's incredible, and it is really cool how you got inspired by the almost the superhero genre in general, but of course Robin as well, as you mentioned. And I guess speaking about the superhero genre, I've noticed on social media that you've attended so many cool events like the premieres for Doctor Strange and the kind of all those superhero movies and some other movies as well. But what kind of stands out to you as being some of your favorite memories from attending these movie premieres?
Oh man, it's a really fun time when Jess and I get invited to these things. Seeing the movie before people is a big highlight, because you don't have to worry about spoilers. But man, there's so many good moments that have happened. I was fortunate enough to walk the carpet at the Spider-Man No Way Home premiere. That was a lot of fun. I remember they had this car that was hanging from a web, and nobody was really sure like what to do with it. Like, I was obviously a photo op, but it was just this car hanging there, and I decided that I was going to get a picture of me holding it up. And so I get underneath it and put my arms up on the car, and the security guard is like, "That's a real car, please don't do that." I was like, "What?" And he's like, "I don't want it to fall on you. That's not on me." And I was like, "That's fair. That's fair. That's fair." But that was a really fun moment. I mean, obviously meeting some of my heroes, like we spoke about earlier, like having the chance to meet people like Chris Pratt, Paul Rudd, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, and then like Kevin Feige, who created Marvel. Please cast me. I would love that. And Sarah Finn, who is the casting director for Marvel. I had a very nice conversation with her at the Moon Knight premiere, and that was a fun moment. And so, yeah, I think like just the atmosphere of being there and the people that you get to meet, I think that'd be the highlight for me.
Wow, that is just amazing to meet all those people, and of course to have that experience as well. But I guess moving on to the Mystery Incorporated series, which I think like we all watched the night it came out, and we just loved it so much, because I think maybe we had some like reservations, maybe we were a bit apprehensive at first,
Absolutely.
as you can be, but I think it just it blew us all away. I just cannot believe how cool it was, with the music, the acting, the production design. Everything about it was just amazing. But I guess it's easy to enjoy that product from a viewer standpoint when we can just, it's on YouTube, so it's like the easiest thing in the world to watch. You can just press the play button. But from a behind the scenes aspect, how did you get from having the concept for it, forming ideas, to what we eventually all saw on opening night?
Oh man, it was a journey. Phil was there for most of it, so he knows. But I mean, bottom line is we wouldn't have gotten there without Dante. That was an instrumental part in getting us to where we are now. Jess did a movie with Dante, and he was directing and she was acting in it, and on set they were getting to know each other, and she was just like, hey, my boyfriend has this like Scooby-Doo idea. Like I think it started with him asking how we met, and we met because of the show. But and so he was intrigued, and after they finished their film that they were shooting, he set up a meeting with us, and the rest is history. We sat down, we planned it all out, and I think you always have these grand ideas, but the hardest part is actually setting a time to do them, because you can always dream and plan, but until there comes a time where you have to set a time frame on yourself, and that was the hardest part of like, okay, so we're just going to shoot this next week. All right, here we go. Everybody, like, all hands on deck. We're shooting this this concept trailer. And so that was a fun and surreal first step, shooting that trailer and getting that out. And then unfortunately, as soon as it was out, we hit COVID and everybody was stuck inside. And I don't think that a lot of people understood that we hadn't filmed anything else, and that we hadn't filmed the episode. And we had a lot of people being like, please just release it, we're all stuck inside. And I was like, I wish I could, but we haven't filmed anything. And so that was a tough time where we weren't sure if we were ever going to get to where we are right now, because we weren't sure when we were going to get into locations. We weren't sure when we were going to be able to shoot. And thankfully, through it all, Jess and Dante and I would have meetings, and we were able to fine tune everything in a way that we might not have been able to without that time. And so that was very nice, actually, in hindsight. And I like to say everything happens for a reason, and it all worked together to lead us to here, where I get to talk to you fine folks.
I mean, like you're saying, there certainly seems to have been a lot of components that, you know, had to be timed right. And, you know, in terms of any acting project, so many things were delayed because of COVID.
Yeah.
Release dates were pushed back. Things, you know, that were meant to have cinematic releases were released online. A lot of, you know, elements did change. And so I imagine this was a concept for a while. And, you know, as you were saying, it was an idea that you generated. Was it always your intention to be Fred? Like, was that something you knew from day one, that was what you wanted to do?
Oh, absolutely. I think in some part, probably most parts, if I'm being honest with myself, that was the reason I came up with the idea and started to figure it all out, was because as an actor, you don't always get the auditions that you want. Sometimes it's hard to get in the room at all if you haven't been seen before, or if you don't have an extended list of credits. And so the best way to break in is to create yourself and to build yourself a resume of work, a fan base, if you will. And the best way to do that is to build on what you love and what you know. And I've always wanted to be Fred. And so I figured, why not take it in my own hands and figure it out? And that search led me to Jess, who also loves the IP and the story that Scooby-Doo has. And together we were able to craft this story, and I was able to put keyboard to text, and it's been surreal. It's been amazing. But yeah, to get around to the actual answer of your question, I'm sorry for going in circles. It's the concept was created with me in mind as Fred. That was like the basis of everything.
Oh, it's incredible. It's good that, you know, you managed to do that, like you say, looking at your childhood heroes when you were little and then managing to be one of them. And as Smash said at the start, like, one of the best Freds that we can remember since Freddie Prinze Jr. It was an incredible performance. And mentioning Freddie Prinze Jr., and there was another live action Fred we saw as well, which was Robbie Amell. Did you call on their kind of interpretations? Did you rewatch that when, you know, preparing to act in this episode? Or?
Well, so I've seen obviously the original live actions with Freddie Prinze Jr. many times. And someday we'll fit in a, I think Coolsville sucks reference. We have to do that. But I wanted to try and do something that was respectful of their performances, but uniquely my own, and a fun new spin on the character. Something that always sticks in my mind about the character of Fred is that I had approached, man, how do I word this the right way without getting in trouble with anyone? Let's just say I approached a theme park that I worked for and asked if I could be Fred in the park. And I was told at the time that Fred is boring. He is not somebody that people want to come see. They want to see Scooby-Doo, they want to see Shaggy, and they want to see like Velma, because Velma's the brainiac. She's fun to talk to. Shaggy and Scooby are the comedic relief. They're awesome. And Daphne's the pretty one that everyone wants to come and hang out with. But Fred is just a guy and an ascot. And I was like, no, he's not. He's so much more than that. Like he's so much more than a guy and an ascot. And I don't think that he often gets the credit that he deserves with that. And I know a lot of times in the process, I was asked like about the quote unquote himbo of it all with Fred. And I wanted to bring that, but I also wanted to show a different side of him where he is courageous and he is a leader, and he's got so many different sides to him. And I'm very excited to flesh that out in future episodes.
Yeah, it really was, a really good expansion on Fred's character, because I think as people that kind of you were working with was expressing, there's always been so much focus on Shaggy and Scooby, and recently there's been some Daphne and Velma books that have kind of expanded on their characters. But I'd say already, just from episode 1, this is one of the most complex plots we've seen for Fred themselves, and that is just so refreshing to see.
Thank you. I also wanted to think about the fact that he is the leader of the gang, but why? Like, why is he the leader? Like, why do they trust him? And I felt like starting out with him made the most sense, and like he's the reason they're all in this, and that's why they look to him for like, okay, so you believed when none of us did, so what's going on? Like, how do we get through this? And I'm excited to build their dynamic. I'm excited to watch the gang grow and support one another. And I don't want to say too much, but I'm excited.
I think we're all excited, and I got to hurry and go on a little tangent quick to praise y'all, but because I had followed this since the beginning, I was super excited and everything. And then recently I kind of got thrown into like a last minute life change. And so actually the night or the day, I guess, but the day you guys dropped the episode, I had to be out of where I was living by noon the next day. I had to work the next day and whatever. And I was with my boy and I was like, listen, I don't care that's 1 a.m. We're recording our reaction. We're watching this. I'm like, I'm not missing this. So I was like, anyways, I was so excited, and it was well worth it. You guys did an amazing job. So excited for you guys. But my question now is, have you ever attempted to reach out to any of the previous Freds for any type of advice or?
Man, I would love to chat with them, but I don't think I'm cool enough. I've attempted like tagging or tweeting. Man, my glasses keep fogging up. It's hot in here. I've attempted to like tweet at them or tag them on Instagram and stuff. But unfortunately, they're busy people that are hard to get a hold of. And I would love to chat with them at some point and talk about the character, talk about the franchise, and but I haven't been able to yet. I do know that Kate Melton did reach out to Jess and she was like, hey, welcome to the Daphne family. Like, we're so stoked to have you. And I was like, wow, you're an absolute sweetheart. Like, thank you for that. And yeah, so maybe one day I'll get to sit down with Freddie Prince and chat.
That is
That'd be
just
so exciting.
amazing. And I guess, like, because we've spoken to Kate Welton a lot as well, just knowing that they're a nice person behind the scenes as well is amazing. And I guess about Fred, speaking about people that we've spoken to, I think Connor Briggs, who's currently touring on the Lost City of Gold show, would be quite approachable as well. So that's an option.
Sweet. Yeah.
I have the next question. Sorry. What were
No worries.
what were some of the challenges though, for you, I guess, where you had to like be an actor in the episode, but you're also trying to write it, produce it? Like, how did you juggle all that?
Well, thankfully I had help. There was like you said before, with everything with COVID, we were able to tone in a lot of the episode was already written, but we were able to tighten it up and make it as clean as we could. But I also had Jess and Dante, and so Dante has been doing this for a long time. He's very experienced, and so anytime we had questions, he was there to help. And when it came to being on set, we planned it in such a way that since Fred and Daphne aren't really on screen together a whole lot in the first episode, when I was on screen, Jess was taking care of everything behind the scenes. She was doing all the heavy lifting, making sure that everything was good, so that Dante could focus on the cameras and the directing. And when she was on camera, I did it as well. And then we just did our best to be there for each other and try and support one another to make sure that everything was taken care of, because we weren't able to have a very large crew, as Phil can attest to. And there was not a lot of hands to ask to do things. And so that's one of the things we're hoping to be able to do with our Indiegogo for episode 2 is bring on more people for the crew, so that we can have people dedicated to doing these things, so that we don't have to lift so much.
I think one of the things that you mentioned there also introduced a really nice dynamic, because it was one of the first times we've really seen Fred and Velma spend a lot of time together and have like good character development there as well. So just when you were kind of speaking there about, like, you know, who was on set together and things like that, it just was really pleasant and refreshing.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we thought that that made the most sense to start it out, because, like, if Fred's the first one to experience this thing that has happened and he's going to do research about it, who else would be at the library? Well, Velma would be there. And who would be the first one to tell him, like, well, you're dumb, that's not, it's there's a logical explanation to everything. It'd be Velma. And so we thought that what better way to introduce them than on a collision course of him trying to prove that what he saw happen to his parents was supernatural, and her trying to prove that what happened to her father was logical. And then just the crash right in the middle, which led to what I don't even think we knew would be such a fun friendship dynamic.
Wow, that's amazing, because I know when we did our review of it, that's one thing that we pointed out, was how we really liked Fred and Velma's relationship and friendship, because none of us really understand as such why, you know, someone like Fred would be talking to someone like Velma and vice versa, because, you know, in reality that doesn't usually happen. And it was so nice to see, like, that whole thing explored, because it makes so much sense. And like, when I watched it first, and I've watched this episode so many times, admittedly.
Thank you.
I watch it and I feel like I'm watching Scooby-Doo for the first time again, and it's amazing. And, you know, there's so many things that happened in this first episode. So do you recall if you or the team had any concepts for episode 1 that were cut or didn't end up making the final version?
I know we definitely have some shots that we weren't able to use. there's a beautiful shot of Fred at his parents' graves, and it definitely played into showing that there was a little bit of time and not just like his parents died and the next day he's at school, but it also kind of, as beautiful of a shot it was and as beautiful of a moment as it was, it did kind of slow down the pacing, and so ultimately we had to scrap it, and hopefully we can use it later. And then similarly, we had a scene with that Phil was in that we had to cut. It was you see Shaggy and Scooby walking with the police car coming up. Originally, the full scene, the police car comes all the way up, and Shaggy had a conversation with his dad. But ultimately, we decided that it was best to leave the reveal of his father being the sheriff until you see him in his room, and once again, it also kind of slowed down the opening, which we really needed to move at a good, nice pace to hook people in. So those were some things. I don't think that there are any concepts that we had to scrap, but yeah, you know, with filmmaking, you always shoot more than what you need so that you have exactly what you need, and I'm thankful that we did that.
Well, it all definitely turned out amazingly. And, you know, we see that you guys bring the Scooby franchise back to Coolsville after so many years of the animated Mystery Inc. being set in Crystal Cove. So was Crystal Cove ever possibly discussed for the base location of the show, or was it always Coolsville?
So we always wanted to do Coolsville just because, like, that's where the gang started, and I think the Coolsville as a setting leads itself to a more a little bit of a better dynamic to a place where everyone's having a good time and everybody's always like happy, and it's not really like a bad place, and then all of a sudden this thing happens. And so that was a nice juxtaposition for us. And also we wanted to make sure that while the name of the show is Mr. Incorporated, it is not the same as Scooby-Doo Mr. Incorporated. And a lot of people thought that because the name was Mr. Incorporated that we were doing a live action version. And as much as we love that version, that's such a fantastic show. Tony Cervone did a great job with that. And as much as we love it, we wanted to do something our own, you know, and pay homage to that show and every other show, and do our best to meld everything and actually show the characters of Mr. Incorporated, what their life is like, why they become Mr. Incorporated. And so we never discussed having Coolsville be the town, but we have discussed them visiting at some point. I mean, not Coolsville, Crystal Cove, but we have discussed them visiting at some point.
Ooh.
That's exciting.
No, that just is amazing. And as we've mentioned other iterations of the Scooby franchise within this interview, one being the live action movies, and we're currently doing like a big celebration for the 20th anniversary special. And speaking to so many behind the scenes people on that movie, one thing that's become very clear is that they wanted to almost kind of bend over backwards to ensure that the Fred and Daphne in that movie were played by a real life couple, of course, with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. And one thing that you mentioned that I wasn't aware of was that you, I guess, met Jessica through this. And so my question is kind of, to what extent was it important for, obviously, the Fred and Daphne within this show to be a real life couple as well?
So I actually was working on figuring everything out, and I was shown a photo of Jess, and she was in a costume that required her to have red hair, and I was just kind of like, I think she'd be a good Daphne, actually. And so I actually reached out to her on Instagram and just asked if she'd be interested, and she responded, and we chatted about the project. We met for coffee and figured out the project, and if it was something she'd be interested in. And yeah, then we just kind of hit it off, and now we're engaged. So it was never something that was a needed element in as far as casting was concerned. It but I think that it is possible that maybe those two characters just share such a strong bond in the mythos that it helped create one for us.
See, that is
Can I-
just so amazing, because I was imagining almost like you were already with Jessica at the time of coming up with this concept, and it was kind of like, oh, now we're gonna have like the power couple be Fred and Daphne. But the fact that like it just naturally gravitated you towards each other is one of the coolest things. Do you have any particular, favorite memories from the filming of the Welcome to Coolsville episode that you can talk to us about?
Man, there are so many. It was a whirlwind of just craziness and emotion, and just so much fun. And man, I think that the first day on set would probably be one of my favorite memories, just because it really it was happening, and it was a culmination of things that we've been working on for so long. And yeah, it was just a dream to finally be doing it. And the first day we were on the set of the school, and just getting into the shoes of the characters and putting them on their feet, it was so much fun. And then that day also we did the baseball scene, and Phil can attest that that was a fun memory of trying to figure that out. I saved Phil's life that day when the baseball was coming at him. But
Yeah.
it was it was the whole experience just as a whole. It's a blur, honestly, because it was so, like I said, Jess and I were doing so much. We were running around wearing many hats, and it was just so much fun. The whole thing, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Well, that's great to hear. And I think one thing that we really appreciate about it as well is how clear it is that it was written from the perspective of somebody who really did enjoy Scooby, from the references to the Hex Girls, Vincent Van Gogh. There was so many kind of like nods towards different episodes and things that have been enjoyed throughout, Scooby so far. And to that end, we have to ask, was there ever a version that was, considered to include Scrappy?
We've talked about it. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, and another question that I had for you is, so as of writing the questions, the pilot was at 1.5 million views. What was your reaction to that? Is that what you were expecting? Did you know, like when you recorded it, that this is really how great this is and how loved it's going to be, or were you kind of more shocked to see the reaching that views?
I'm continually shocked. I mean, when I checked this morning, it's over 1.7, and
Whoa.
it's I'm just humbled and ecstatic. And I think that we knew that there was an audience that would enjoy it based on the trailer, but I don't think that we expected quite the turn up in as far as views, and I don't think that we expected quite the positivity in the comment section. And I think that has been the most like overwhelmingly like humbling part, is just seeing the people who love it and want to let us know how much they love it has been so much fun to see that, because it's not often you find a positive comment section on a YouTube video. And the fact that you have to scroll for a while before there's anything besides some positivity is it's surreal. And yeah, I did not expect this, and I'm just so happy about it, and just enjoying the ride.
I think we're all very ecstatic for you and the entire team behind this. This is exciting for you guys. So we did see you guys did like a really cool premiere event for the pilot. What was that like? You know, can you share anything about that?
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was crazy. I think like we talked about earlier, I've had the opportunity to go to a lot of premieres, but nothing hits quite like your own. It was man, I mean, I've said it a lot, but like it was the culmination of everything we've been working towards. And to get to that point where we had the largest audience at that point that had seen the episode in one room, ready to watch it. And I was nervous, but I was excited. We got the photos back from our friend that did the photography, and I was like, man, I look like such a goober. I can't stop smiling in all of these. Like, I've never seen myself smile so big. And just the amount of gratitude towards every single person in that room that was instrumental in making it happen. It was such a fun event. And I think that watching it on that screen with all these people together, I think was the first time really that Jess and I were like, you know what? I think people are really gonna like this. I think that we might have done something right.
Well, I think we all think you did.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
excited for this project. And so jumping kind of more into the future with this, we have the Indiegogo for episode 2. The link for it is in the description. So everyone, please go support this. But is there anything you can kind of tease for episode 2 that might entice them to go help support?
Well, if you've seen the episode, you know that a certain knight shows up. And if you've seen the Indiegogo, you've seen the title of the episode. And so I think that that's such an iconic Scooby villain. It was the very first one. And so I'm very excited to explore that and the situations that arise with that and the gang. And by the end of the first episode, everybody has interacted in some way with each other, but they're just not friends yet. And I think that the more that we're able to do, the more you'll see them come closer together, the more that you'll see them interact and form this team and fight these baddies. And I think that I'm very excited to keep going. And I think that sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought and realizing that I'm going on a tangent again from your question. But I think that anybody who is thinking about donating it at all, just look at our subscriber count. If everyone donates $1, we're funded, and we can get going on this, and you can see the Black Knight in action and see the next chapter in this story.
I think I speak for all of us and every single person who loved the first episode that we're so excited to see episode 2 and any future episodes, because it's all going to be amazing. And outside of Mystery Incorporated, do you have any upcoming ventures that you're excited for? And where's the best place for people to keep up to date with both the show and your work?
I do. I right before shooting the pilot, I shot a movie called All of You Will Die. Phil was on that one as well, and Dante was one of the directors on that as well. But that is a fun horror film, and actually Jess is in it too. So keep an eye out for that one. It's in post right now, full-length feature. It's going to be fun. And as far as keeping up with me and the project, you can follow Mystery Incorporated on Instagram at mystery_incorporated_series, and on Twitter at Mystery Inc. Show. And I think we have a TikTok too. I don't know if we've done anything on there, and I don't know what it is, but I think we have a TikTok. And For myself, it's Dade Elza all the way across the board on every social media.
Thank you so much for that. And I guess that very much wraps up the questions that we had directed at yourself. So I guess thank you so much for the time that you've taken to speak with us today, because again, I can only imagine how busy you must be and how much work must have gone into everything. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Everything, all the links for everything that we've discussed throughout this video, from social medias, links to the episode itself, as well as the Indiegogo, will all be in the description below. We can't reiterate enough how much we really want people to go out and support that, because it honestly is incredible. There'll be a link to the YouTube channel for Mystery Incorporated as well. And I guess one thing that I want to mention on that as well is, if you have seen the episode, there's also some other really fun things to check out on the channel. Like, I really enjoyed the music interpretations. Like, I watched those so many times. They're amazing.
Thank you.
So yeah, there's so much to go and see on the channel. Like we say, we'll link everything below. And thank you both so much for your time today as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so I guess to kind of wrap things up for everyone listening, of course, in addition to all those links, there's going to be a lot of links in the description this time around. But of course, we've got the links to our social media, to Smash's YouTube channel, and of course, like they've mentioned, they did a reaction on the pilot
That was
episode,
as long as the episode.
which is going to be a lot of fun. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, this has been another interview on the JayBee Milly channel. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and all of that good stuff. And we'll see you next time.